What's cracking, everybody? Ampharos here, bringing you some Pokemon Go Battle League content. In today's video, we're not only going to be featuring Shadow Ampharos, freshly built off my roster. We're also going to be featuring the Gyarados that's on the bottom there, Shadow, with a safe swap with Elite TM Dragon Tail, because that's a new build that I didn't know was so great, and man, this thing slaps. So we paired it with the Dragonite and the Gyarados because they're basically two of the hardest walls to Swampert that aren't grass types. I think I would have picked an Abomasnow if I could have. Abomasnow is a much better fit, but I don't have an Abomasnow that I could use for this cup, so woe is me, so to speak. Went with the double dragon, pseudo dragon in the back anyway. So anyway, obviously ABB team here, we're just looking to basically catch a good lead or core break with Ampharos because Charizard's everywhere in this cup, and everything on the team has really good play against Charizard. So we're going to dive right into the battles, right? You ready? Yeah? Okay, let's go. We are ready to play these battles, and just a quick shout out as well to my patron supporters. You guys are, to be completely honest, greatest group I could have ever asked for to do this along with. So shout outs to them. Let's cue the music. Let's get into these battles. Ampharos versus Empoleon. You'll love to see it. Empoleon is not going to do well against the electric type here, so they're going to come in with a Muck, and I'm going to make a completely stupid decision and bring in my Shadow Gyarados to this Muck. And now you know what Muck usually carries? Thunder Punch. You know what would probably one-shot my Gyarados? Thunder Punch. So I completely make a really stupid decision in this battle. I probably could have put both shields down in one swap here if I really wanted to, but the opponent really wouldn't have had to do much. And I mean, they're already another Thunder Punch. I don't know confidently that I can get to the farm down here without them getting to a third Thunder Punch. So I just let the Gyarados go, and I'm like, all right, I'll trust in Ampharos to try and get some of this farm. The opponent is going to be able to get to a move here. Unfortunately, they live with just a little bit of HP, so I have to invest my other shield because it's probably a Dark Pulse. This is my first game with the team, by the way, so definitely a learning curve that had to be met here. And they come in with Machamp, and I'm going to hit Brutal Swing here, which is a stupid decision because I'm trying to bait, which thankfully it was correct. Now, something I want to talk about is Brutal Swing. Great low energy charge move that really gives Ampharos a really good way to deal with things like Trevenant. Now, in this meta, specifically this meta, I'm going to kaboom myself because I deserve it. In this meta specifically, I would probably just run it with Thunder Punch, which actually after this set, I actually did that. Just Thunder Punch is going to be much better because, to be completely honest, in this meta, you're not really using Zap Cannon or Focus Blast for really anything. So run your Ampharos with Thunder Punch if you want to. Now, Blastoise on the lead, another good lead. So remember, this is the first day of Ultra League Premier Cup Classic where everybody was expecting the Charizard to be everywhere. So there were some really interesting teams, some triple water teams even looking to beat Charizard, which if you're looking to beat Charizard, I got a video coming up that's just for you. Probably won't be for another couple of days though, because unfortunately I can only do one video a day. So I'm going to have my Gyarados be the swap here, and it is going to come in and it is going to be able to actually flip the switch on this Walrein. Look at this. So you can tank one with the Shadow Gyarados, and if you get the defense drop, you can actually go for an Aqua Tail and shield and farm down. If they shield this, which is fine with me, I will shield in kind, because they're probably going to want to go for another Icicle Spear. No, they don't. That's okay. So we go... Normally, if they do shield, you can just farm down, which maybe that's why they didn't, is because maybe they knew that, but my opponent just concedes at that point. They were probably running like Swampert in the back or something, so the Gyarados just destroyed them. And Ampharos was kind of along with it. So a fairly neutral lead here, I think. There's not really any like dominating matchup here, so I'm going to just make sure they don't swap into something first, and I'm going to bring in my Gyarados because that's a really hard answer to the Dragonite. But my opponent does a really nice catch, and they catch an Aqua Tail on my from my Gyarados, but that's okay because Samurott really doesn't have a whole lot it can do against Gyarados, and Gyarados is just gonna roll this thing. And honestly, I'm fine letting my Gyarados go because that means I can get Ampharos a really nice farm down. What do you want to get up here? What do you want to do? Huh? What are you doing? What are you doing? It's freaking weird. my opponent's going to bring in their Dragonite. I'm going to go for a Brutal Swing to try and get a shield, but they do have a move ready, so I'm going to shield it up because I want to keep my Ampharos healthy, thinking potentially maybe there's double water in the back. So I'm going to go for this Brutal Swing. And speaking of swings, Brutal Swing is going to get the other, or get a shield off of my opponent. I'm going to try and bring in my Dragonite to snipe him, but unfortunately my opponent is just too quick for me, and they bring in a Charizard. And that's why they didn't want to swap out their Dragonite right away, is because they have a Charizard. Now, if you've ever had a Wing Attack Charizard versus an Ampharos, you know that resisting all those Wing Attacks is nice, and Ampharos can actually live a Blast Burn too, which is kind of nuts. Ampharos is definitely going to come in here if I can. I'm just going to go for this Dragon Claw. Actually, no. I decided not to go for the Dragon. That's right. I was actually trying to get my opponent to throw so I could get some more farm on my Ampharos, and by doing so, that's going to allow me to get to... It doesn't matter. I'm thinking of all these different battles that I've done with this team over the last week. Probably not a great idea when you record content to have all these other battles in your head, but little Miss Bendy Butt over here isn't helping me too much either. So Ampharos is now sucked on against the Snorlax. The Snorlax safe swapped in. I was going to go for the Zap Cannon, but my opponent CMP tied me here. So I'm going to let this go. I'm going to fake the Focus Blast. I don't know if it was a CMP tie when I played it, but I later found out, yes, it was a CMP tie. But they still get a lick through, which makes no sense. I definitely did not click the Zap Cannon after that charge move, so it registered as a CMP, but they still got a fast move through, which makes no sense. And I really wish that some of this would get fixed. This is really getting frustrating. You know, the game was working so well at some point, and then it all just kind of fell back apart. So I'm going to come in with my Dragonite here against their Snorlax here and try and finish this up. I did take a charge move, and I'm going to try and farm down here. Able to farm down, thankfully. And then the Charizard's going to come in here, and I'm going to be able to go for this Dragon Claw against the Charizard before assuming it's going to get to a Dragon Claw to take me out. It does decide not to shield, and they come in with a Machamp. And because I still have Gyarados in the back, that's great. I'm going to go for Superpower here to not only give them a little bit less farm, but also because Superpower, I do believe, actually does a little bit more damage than the Dragon Claw. So as my final move, I would just kind of do that. Now, I'm going to come with my Ampharos here to force the opponent to throw energy. But they're really smart, and they don't do it. So, I'm just going to come in with my Gyarados. Oh, okay, yes, hello. Okay, that's what you want to do? Okay, they're going to go for a Rock Slide. And as long as they don't have another Rock Slide, which thankfully they didn't, I'm good. And my opponent decides to concede as I die a little on the inside as my face gets completely pulled on. Thank you. Thank you, sweetheart. All right, so Swampert Lead, this is really rough. That's why I'm running two things that counter it in the back. So I'm going to come in with Gyarados. My opponent comes in with a Walrein. And I've played this before. So once again, right, if I go for... You're weird. If I go for the Crunch and I get the debuff, I can flip this. Quite nicely, actually. So I go for the Crunch here, as obviously I've been mentioning. And what are you looking at now? It's mommy. It's mommy. And they get the debuff, so now I will be able to shield once, and actually I think I'm able to farm down here. I don't even need to throw for the Aqua Tail. Past me was counting. So past me will know if I can do that or not. Past me knows that they won't get to the Icicle Spear, so I'm able to leave this with a ton of energy. And my Gyarados is ready for whatever comes back in. And waiting for the opponent's Switch Clock phase. So they're going to come in with a Muk to try and farm down. I'm going to actually go for double Aqua Tail here just to get enough damage off to really make a difference here. Hopefully. Yeah. Okay, so I'm able to get both Aqua Tails off, which is really nice. And then at this point, I have to decide on whether the opponent is running a Sludge Wave or if they're trying to run Brain Fart at 11:30 at night. You can't think about these things, I tell you. I should do this earlier in the day, but truthfully, between these three, I don't have time. So, late night is what it is. So, that's right. I come in with Ampharos to make sure it stays off the Swampert. That would be what the reason. See, past me knew what he was doing. Current me is just like, what happened in these battles? I'm just along for the ride as though I've never seen them before. Don't worry. The videos that are coming on later in the week, they're much more recent in my memory because I literally did them today. So you'll have a hopefully much more cohesive Felrose shoutcasting his own battles than those. But I'm looking to basically try to either farm down or get the... I mean, I have to force up my last shield here, but I'm essentially looking to just go for a full farm down so that I can get a couple of moves off against the muck as it comes back in. Now, as I recall, the superpower does enough damage to take out the Dragon Claw will not. However, excuse me, I have gotten the shield, so I'm able to go for the superpower here after going for one more Dragon Breath, make sure I get as much damage in as I possibly can before I get to these charge moves. And that superpower is not enough to take it out, but I'm going to be able to go and swap into my Ampharos before they're able to get to a charge move and snipe them down. Now, this is a little bonus battle. This was after I got my Elo. Spoiler alert, I just got out of rank 20 with this team. But I had to include it because this was such an incredibly close battle, and I couldn't help but myself. So my opponent and I are both leading Ampharos, so we're going to farm up to 5 and then throw our moves. I note that my Ampharos wins CMP. Even though it has a 0 attack stat, the 8 and 8 actually make it so the attack is going to be higher than, say, one that was like a 0, 15, 15, just for example. So I'm able to win CMP. My opponent and I both go for brutal swings, but my opponent shields. I decide to no shield, and then I try to swap here to catch the brutal swing again. This is not a Shadow Ampharos, so this isn't going to hurt nearly as bad. And I'm okay with coming in with my usually double weak to ice Gyarados, or not Gyarados, Dragonite, rather. And my opponent stays in to go for another charge move and lets me farm up energy. So I'm actually going to... I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to shield that up, and then my opponent's going to bring in their Wall Rain, and at the very last second I'm going to go for a superpower. I'm only going to get to one move, so I'd rather not throw the superpower before I get there, because honestly they're going to get enough farm anyway. So now I'm going to come in with my Gyarados, actually, to absorb the energy from the Wall Rain, which is a really weird move when you think about it, but if I realize that we're both using an Ampharos lead and neither one of us swapped out, chances are my opponent's also probably pretty weak to Ampharos in the back. So this is when I switch Thunder Punch. Honey, what's the matter with you? What? What's the matter? Did you drop your toy? Oh, come here. This is after I had put Thunder Punch on my Ampharos, so I think I much prefer Thunder Punch on the Ampharos here, but I'm going to go for the Brutal Swing again. I win CMP, and they come in with Ampharos against my Ampharos, so I'm almost certain here that my Ampharos is going to have some play here in the back. So I'm going to actually shield this up, and I'm going to go for move here, I believe. My opponent comes in with their Charizard trying to catch a Brutal Swing, I think. And so instead they're going to catch this Thunder Punch, catch these hands, and then I'm going to come in, oh, I guess I'm not going to, okay, there we go. Now I'm going to come in with my Gyarados. It's a very risky play. They are going to go for a Dragon Claw here. They didn't need to go for Blast Burn, so thankfully the Gyarados is going to snipe it down. And then I just need to live 1. And I live 1 because I'm able to throw the Aqua Tail 2 turns before that second Volt Switch registers. I am going to be able to take out the Ampharos. And again, super close game. Well played to my opponent. That was an incredible battle. And that's going to do it. So getting to rank 20 with this team, getting my starting elo of the season, 2263, grab the screenshot, share it on the socials, and that's going to be all she wrote. And this team was shared on my Patreon Discord, and everybody was having an absolute blast with it. Some of us even built a Shadow Ampharos for the first time, as myself included. And honestly, the team just slapped for so long. And so if you, again, would like to get in on these teams and all the other early meta tips and things that I can think of before they hit YouTube, or even honestly before most people see it on YouTube, because we're talking about things weeks in advance. In the description, there's a link to Patreon. You can just check that out. I have many tiers that kind of suit everybody's needs at that point. Hope to see you in the Discord if you're interested. And if you're looking into coaching, I got a link to Metafy down in the description. Love to, you know, help anybody out who would like to try and level up their gameplay and get to the next level. So that's going to do it for us. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.